Fuck. Wow. No, nothing. What's up? What's up, babe?
You're talking to me.
Yeah, I was talking to you. See you over there. You still watching God of War? Are we gonna like play or type an essay over there? Let's see here.
I'm gonna invite my friends. Who wants to play?
Or 50 Shades of... What's that?
Man, that was impressive. Pushing forward is Anderson Silva. Aggressive here in round one. Confident in his striking. Look at the hands throw. Yeah, I think he's better. Down goes Griffin. Silva. I mean, that's just amazing. He's out. He's out. It's all over. Anderson Silva. It's knocked out Boris Griffin. Wow. This is a fight where some of the best, if not the best, I've ever seen.
Hey, can you move my friend in here?
Okay. Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just weren't
You're
saying.
loud as shit, though.
Oh, come on. You're one rank too low right here. One rank. I D-ranked twice. I still can't play.
Here, am I better now? Am I not super loud? Are we really that close?
This body
You're one rank too low.
Alright, so are we gonna invite some people then, or are we gonna go lobby hopping or whatever?
I invited some people, but I don't know if they're gonna join.
Just incredibly accurate and unusual in that he's throwing a front leg side kick to the leg. He even ducked down and punched him in the leg twice. Turning side kick to the body.
Beautiful left high kick right to the back of the head, back of the neck. A lot of movement. His hands are very low. He has to be careful with that. His head movement is very, very good. He gets away with it. His head movement sick. Knocks down, you shall come. Unbelievable. Anderson Silva will break the rules. Now he's looking to finish. The way that he can confuse you out there is absolutely mind-boggling. His hands are down.
Needed a midsection.
Accurate with the strikes, Mike.
Big elbow to the midsection.
This fight's gonna be stopped right now.
And here we go. You see Anderson with that wheel kick. Anderson moves with it. There's a nice jab by Anderson.
But Liam's bad though.
Anderson holding onto the arm, and he takes him down. Swarms up. This is gonna be it. Looking to finish the fight right here.
Rev,
Yeah.
you almost ready?
What do you mean you almost ready?
Do you have people and are you ready to go?
I've been ready this whole time, and do I have people? Do I? No, I don't. Fucking, I don't have friends. What?
Of course. Well, I have 3 and they're all like AFK, so.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's what they told you. They just didn't want to play with you either.
No, they're just not responding and they're not joining a game or anything, so.
Oh,
Send them-
shit.
Send them nudes then. They'll respond then.
Alright.
Need to take any unnecessary chances. Look at this kick. Boom, on the chin. Smile on the face of Cote. Cote loves to duck that chin, Joe. Get a big shot there, Mike. Bam, right in there. And here we see the laser beam precision of Anderson Silva's punches and the terrific chin of Patrick Cote. Here it is again, just leans in, the long reach.
Oh shit.
Cowabunga.
What?
Just read the names in chat.
There's a nice right hand over the top. Look at this.
Cowabunga.
And here we see Anderson. Very nice.
Did I switch accounts or did I not?
When not to engage, and you're threatened with the wrestling. You can get away with like having a slower striking
Hey,
style.
Rev.
But if you can't do those things, then you're
Hello.
duck. And that's one of the most terrifying aspects.
You want to
of
like
MMA.
mess around and
One
look
of the
for
most
some
terrifying
lobbies?
aspects of MMA is being
No.
stuck in the middle of
Okay.
the cage with
Oh,
a guy like
alright,
Anderson
Rip.
Silva in his prime,
Yeah.
who's just sliding slightly out of the way of your
Yeah.
shit and bam,
Yeah.
cracking you in the face, and he's dancing around, and you know he's making the wobbly face like he's rocked
Yeah.
to fuck with you, and then he kicks you and punches you. Like,
Yeah.
he's done some creepy shit to dudes inside the octagon. I mean creepy in a way that's like not negative. I mean so good.
Yeah.
Like he's had these moments in fights where you just go, holy shit, it's creepy.
Yeah.
Like you could get stuck in a cage with that dude.
He just basically, if this was 1,000 years ago, it would be that he would be the king of the village. Right? Like just,
Most
you
likely.
know,
Well,
taunting
the king of the
people.
village would be the biggest guy.
Right.
See, what we're doing is we're separating people by size.
That's true.
At the end of the day, like you meet a guy like Brock Lesnar, you go, oh, well, that's one of the heavyweight division.
Right.
Like that's a totally different kind of human.
How many guys like that can actually, and I'm talking about Brock specifically, but that are like 285?
Can move like him?
Well, no, that can keep a body like that without anything additional. Like in other words,
That's a super good question, and it's not an honest question. The problem is people are real dishonest about what they take and what they don't take.
yeah.
You know, it's weird because there's people that will argue with you. They'll say that there's only so big a person can ever get and be so fast
Right.
without help.
Right.
But then you got to say, but their understanding of recovery is way better today than ever before. Like their understanding of like when to train, when not to train, when you're overtrained. Like if you're at a real high level place, they're gonna like if they're grooming you to be an NFL player or something
Yeah.
like that. They're gonna give you some pretty high level instruction and coaching, and if you're eating right, you're gonna have definitely a jump
Rev,
over people that were in your same sort of position.
I got a couple
Right.
of buddies
So
that
the
want to
athlete's
just
gonna be better
troll.
just because
So,
of the science of training.
you want to
But
just
after that, you gotta wonder.
play one
You know,
tomorrow?
I mean, it's not like
Yeah, I'm just chilling, gonna chill and just watch
they don't
YouTube,
know
dude.
about steroids.
So
Alright.
easy to get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like they don't know about
So, yeah,
it,
have
and it's
fun,
not like
man.
they don't know they help.
Yup.
And these dudes, like some of the guys are definitely fat, right? But some of these
yeah.
guys are like, they're so like you're like, dude, you're walking around like at like a healthy 310.
Well, I think some of them,
Weird.
honestly, are probably a bit big on purpose too, like
Yeah.
linemen, right?
Right,
I mean,
definitely.
you
Oh,
got
they
you want to
feed
be,
'em.
yeah,
Yeah.
you want to be a giant.
You want to be a giant monster. Yeah, they're
you don't want to be
monsters.
shredded.
No.
You want to just
You
be
wanna weigh a lot.
smashing
Yeah.
into people.
Yeah.
I think. What the fuck do I know? I know almost nothing about football.
You're totally right.
People
man.
say football players' names, and I have to nod like a person
Oh,
from
really?
another country.
Like, oh, yeah.
Like if someone's speaking to me in another language, I'm like, yeah, I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that
football
about a
guy.
bunch of sports though too. I'm like, I got you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
But I wear hats a lot, especially I travel with. I used to like having a hat on a plane. Pull over, and I have like 10 different teams, and guys will bore, and they're like, "Did you see Douglas last night?" And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "The game," and I realize it's the hat, and I'm like, "I missed it." And he's like, "Fuck, shut him out." I'm like, "Fucking killer, man."
You don't even know who that guy is.
No, I have no idea what he's talking about. Yeah, yeah, I have no idea what he's talking about.
Well, now there's so many UFC fighters. There's like 500 UFC fighters. Occasionally, like I gotta look people up.
Sure.
Like someone will mention someone. I'm like, who did he fight? And they'll fight. He fought that guy. I'm like, when? And they're like, it's 4 fight nights ago. I'm like, undercard? When was on undercard? Like,
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll have to like put
He's
it in my.
super big.
It's too many fights. You can't keep up.
How massive has it gotten? Just in the time that I've known or been to UFC stuff, the fight game has exploded in popularity.
It seems like it all took off from this one fight in 2005 between Stephen Bonner and Forrest Griffin. That was like the big one because it was the end of the final of this first reality show, The Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, right.
They had this crazy fight in the finals. And these guys knew each other real well, and they actually liked each other a lot. But they fucking went at it. They just both went at it.
It changed the game.
Both guys fought Anderson Silva, too.
Oh, wow.
Later in their career.
They both
got fucked up.
Yeah.
It was when Anderson was just a Jedi Knight.
Yeah.
He was just doing shit to people inside the octagon where you're like, oh, Jesus.
I was at that one fight with him.
Which one?
I think was it the Weidman one?
Oh, when he broke his leg? Or when he got knocked out?
I think when he got knocked out. I think I was at that.
Probably. You've been to a ton of them.
I've been to a bunch of them now.
Yeah. That one was crazy because he was winning that fight.
If I didn't go to that one, I definitely saw. I've seen both of those guys fights. So I can't remember if I saw that fight or not.
Weidman was pressing him, but Anderson was kicking him a lot in the legs.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it, I was like, ooh, like he's kicking his legs a lot.
And he did a lot of crazy taunting.
Mm-hmm.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
But you know what? Weidman did something really slick. It was really interesting. He threw a back fist. He threw a punch, and then he threw a back fist. Because Anderson was going he was bobbing and weaving and like moving away from him. So he figures if the right's coming, then the left's coming. So he throws a punch, misses, and then throws a back fist, which makes Anderson have to go that way.
Right.
So then when he starts going that way, the other way, bang, he catches him with a left hook.
Oof.
It's a beautiful combination.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful combination with a guy who moves his head a lot. Because you force him, because you're not just throwing one in that direction, you're throwing a second one so he's going that way.
Yeah.
Which is like when you throw a left hook.
Yeah.
He's going that way. So he's already going the way to avoid the left hook. He's got to come back.
And when he
comes back, boom.
Yeah.
He catches him perfect. It was brilliant.
Yes,
Beautiful timing.
It was the setup before the fucking blow too.
Well, he looked a little slower than Anderson, so he was having a hard time catching him. And Anderson was staying on the outside and kicking his legs a lot. But they had collided in the first round, and he took Anderson down and wrapped one of his legs up and had him pretty tight.
Yeah.
Looked like he might be getting a leg lock or attempting a leg lock, and Anderson got out of it.
Isn't that the fight too, where after the fight, where Weidman was like, "Make your decision now. You're either on board, or you're not." I think there was
No, that was another fight.
That was
another fight. Yeah, I think that was after Vitor. I think after he beat up Vitor.
He's like, "Pick your." Like,
yeah, I was like,
"Get
whoa.
on board."
I was like, damn, Chris.
You've had up to now to decide. Pretty good.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He takes a loss like a fucking champ. I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
He lost to Yoel Romero by knockout, and then he was sitting on the dais answering questions later with his eye all stitched up.
Yeah.
He's a stud.
You know what fight I was
That's
at?
hard to do, man.
Oh, I bet, man.
Get KO'd and then just answer questions with stitches over your eye, and you're talking to press people.
Oh, I've seen some guys real fucked up at
Perfect composure, though. He handled it perfectly.
I was at that Gustafson.
People get better quick, too. That's the other weird thing about this world. The MMA world is changing so fast. The level of athlete is moving in such a fast direction. These guys keep getting better and better and better and better and better. And they're all getting better, so it's hard to tell. But when you compare like a top-level athlete of today versus a top-level athlete of, 20 years ago. That's when you see these stark, gigantic differences. You know, when the UFC started in '93 in comparison to 2006, stark, crazy differences.
Which you're not going to see guys stay at the top as long, you think?
Well, some guys can, or some girls can, you know, depending on how good they are. Some people just have massive advantages that are very difficult to overcome, like Anderson Silva when he was in his prime. Anderson Silva had a massive advantage in timing and speed and creativity and striking, whereas he could defend himself on the ground. He was difficult to take down, and when he got him down, he's pretty good defensively with his guard, but standing up, he's a goddamn genius. He was a virtuoso, and he would just like move on you and do weird shit to you, and then blam, catch you with a front kick to the face or something, and just, he would time you, figure you out, find your distance, and then land some crazy shit on you and fuck you up. And he did it to so many people. So when a guy like that is at the top, he's so truly exceptional at one particular aspect of the game. A lot of times they can go on a good run. You know, so it's hard. It's hard for people to go on a run. Like Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson's probably on like the longest run as a champion now, I think. Is he on the longest run? The most wins as a champion? I think he might be like right up there with Anderson in the most wins. And then maybe John Jones is in there too.
What weight is he?
He's the smallest guy. He's 125. He's the flyweight champion. But he's in my opinion, he's the best pound for pound guy. Because if you look at like, he's definitely smaller than the other guys. He can move differently because he's not so weighed down by gravity. So it's very difficult to like look at his movements and say, well, you could compare him to a guy like Fabricio Verdum, who's 240 pounds. Like Fabricio's just more hampered down by gravity. Like his body just has to push around so much more. There's no way he can move with the kind of fluidity that a guy like Mighty Mouse can.
And what's the biggest guy that Mighty Mouse will fight?
So Anderson Silva, 10-fight win streak, and Demetrius Johnson is at 8, right below George St. Pierre, which is at 9.
He's at 9 now. I think this is as of July.
Oh, okay. So Demetrius defended his title again recently, so he's tied with George St. Pierre for second place. So that's, you know, like a guy like Anderson, perfect example. Super tough. John Jones, another one, perfect example. John Jones is a ridiculously talented athlete. And so, like, when you have these, like, really, really talented guys, like extreme outliers, they tend to be able to go on rolls. Also because when you fight them, it's terrifying. Because you know you're stepping in there with the alpha. You're stepping in there with Anderson Silva in his prime, and he bows to you, and you're like, oh, my God, what the fuck have I got myself into? You know?
Yeah.
You can pump yourself up for it and get yourself thinking, like, I'm the fucking man now. But, like, when you're actually across the street from the man and you're looking at each other eye to eye and you realize, like, that's Anderson motherfucking Silva.
Yeah.
I'm about to step into the ring, step into the octagon, rather, with the best ever.
You're doing a handstand on the edge of a tall building.
So it's hard for them to get over that. It takes a super strong mind just to be able to fight at your best. Whether or not your best is even good enough, that's another aspect of the fight. Whether or not your best is good enough is really secondary, because you're not going to be able to be at your best. You're going to be so freaked out and so fucking nervous. Your timing's going to be off. Your adrenaline is going to be fucking pumping through your veins. You might get an adrenaline dump, so you might tire out in the second round. Like, you got to manage your resources. You got to manage your anxiety, and you're facing a goddamn ninja, like a real live superhero character.
And he's seeing all of those weaknesses in you.
He sees everything. He sees everything, too, when you start moving around. When you would move around with him, he would move around with you, and he would see how you move, whether or not you move slow. Like, he would take his time. He would take his time and then just open up on guys. It's fascinating to watch him, man, because he would dissect guys. You'd see him dissecting guys. He'd be bouncing around and moving. He would change his footwork. He would, like, throw a little fake your way and see how you react. You go, I could have hit you right there. Okay, I see what's going on here. And then you do some stuff at him. He's like, no, not today. Not today with that. And you would see him doing all these calculations in his mind and setting up traps. And then somewhere in the second round, he would attack. And when he was in his prime, it was just stunning to behold. Here he is right now. Look at it. He's standing in front of this guy, hands down, and he just barely moves his head out of the way. He's like just timing him, just trying to figure out, and then plop, pops him with a jab and drops him. I mean, you're watching all this in slow motion too, unfortunately. But this was when he fought Yushin Okami. I mean, he was just an assassin back then. He was so good. That's when he was the middleweight champion. And he was just lighting people up in there, man. If you
So
go
he'll
to,
let a
like
guy
Anderson
get
Silva
up
highlight
because he's
reel.
better on his feet.
I didn't give a fuck, dude. Go to Anderson Silva highlight reel. See if you can find that. He didn't give a fuck. If you were on your feet, like, you were going to get knocked out against him in his prime. It was his attitude. He would stand with anybody. I mean, his stand-up was so exceptional.
But he's still fighting.
Yeah, he's still fighting, but he's 40 or 41 now. And that's the only fucking thing in the world that's undefeated is Father Time, man. Just check this shit out. This is him when he was in his prime. Okay, he just slides out of the way and drops that dude with a punch. I mean, he just had a way of moving. Let's see. Just see if you have like a highlight reel, not just this one fight.
It is supposed to be
It's
this, yeah.
highlight tribute.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. But it's just the same fight a couple times in a row. This guy had a real good chance to get some. Travis Luter. This is a bunch of people that he fought. They're showing. He was so goddamn good. That's Travis Luter caught in the triangle, getting elbowed in the head. He just was, at that time in particular, he was the next level of striking, because we had never seen anybody who had like real world-class striking skills in the middleweight division like Anderson did. He just had, especially in particular,
Well, his
MMA
feet
striking
are just
skills.
grounded. His balance is amazing.
Well, he was just exceptional, truly exceptional, and physically strong for sure. But the big thing about Anderson wasn't like how big he was; it was just how technical he was, and how brilliant his ability to figure guys out was. This was a guy he fought named Lee Murray, and Lee Murray is a guy who put on the biggest bank robbery in the history of Great Britain. That guy stole hundreds of millions of dollars allegedly from a bank and is in jail, I think in Morocco now because of it. But he was an assassin too, and they two met up, and Anderson Silva lit him on fire.
Yeah.
Just fucked him up. Just stood right in front of him, leg kicked the shit out of him, beat his ass, took his best shots. He was so good.
So are you friends with Silva?
I know him. I see him. He doesn't speak English that good, but I always give him a hug when I see him. He's a very nice guy.
Yeah.
And again, he's the greatest of all time. If you're a fan of the sport, in my opinion, like that guy when he was in his, like whatever, there's like a few year period where someone can exist at the highest of RPMs. And when he was in the highest of RPMs, the argument is really between him and maybe Fedor Emelianenko, who fought in Pride. I think Fedor is a real possibility. Like I definitely could see the argument that he was number one instead of Anderson. But it's really like, who the fuck knows? They fought in different organizations. They fought different people. You know, I think the talent level is probably a little bit better in the UFC, but it's arguable that it wasn't, because, you know, he was fighting Crow Cop in his prime and Nogueira in his prime, and Fedor fought some of the all-time greats at their best and beat them. So it's arguable that he fought a tougher range of opponents. So maybe it's arguable that Fedor's accomplishments are more impressive because the opposition he fought was bigger, more dangerous. You know, he fought Crow Cop when Crow Cop was just an assassin, just smashing people, knocking everybody dead. And he walked him down and out-kickboxed him, mostly. That's mostly what the fight was about.
Sometimes you just feel tired, feel weak. And when you feel weak, you feel like you want to just give up. But you gotta search within you. Try to find that inner strength and just pull that shit out of you. And get that motivation to not give up and not be a quitter. No matter how bad you want to just fall flat on your face. Till I collapse, I'm spilling these raps. Long as you feel them to the day that I drop, you'll never say that I'm not killing them. Cause when I am not, then I'ma stop pinning them. And I am not hip-hop, and I'm just not Eminem. Subliminal thoughts when I'ma stop sending them. Women are caught in webs, spin them in hawk venom. Adrenaline shots, the penicillin could not get the illin to stop.
I'm fixing to come over there and reconvene. Just hang out.
Killing hip-hop, feeling a minimal swap to cop. Millions of pop listeners. You're coming with me, feel it or not. You're gonna fear it like I showed you. The spirit of God lives in us. You hear it a lot, lyrics to shock. Is it a miracle or am I just product of pop? Listen up, but sizzle my whistle, this is the plot. Listen up, you pistols for God's listen does not give a fuck. Comes off Take a round.